I thought I knew this movie pretty well, but Jimmy and I just rewatched it, and he was like quoting things, calling things out. We got to the end. He's like, "Oh, the end is like so good." I'm like, "I don't even know what happens." I'm genuinely on the edge of my seat.
Michelle thought
Yeah.
they were going to win the gold medal, just so we're clear here.
Welcome to the table.
We're your hosts, Michelle and Laura.
This is where we talk movies, food, and the ways that they bring us together. Grab a seat. This episode starts now.
Okay, Michelle, our sports season continues. It's a long one. It feels like a true MLB's baseball season at this point. So today we are covering Disney's Cool Runnings, and we're joined by returning guest Jimmy, Michelle's husband, and my favorite brother-in-law in all the worlds. Jimmy, we haven't had you on the pod for a while. What are your first memories with this movie?
I don't think I watched it on, in a theater or anything like that, but I remember it kind of always being on, and like one of those movies that if you just, were flipping channels and it was on, you kind of just stuck with.
I was trying to remember, like I truly don't have a first memory of watching this, but I do feel like it was a reoccurring, thing that I just always had on, or a movie that I was flipping back and forth with. But Michelle, I actually don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I also feel like this was it was always on movie. It's not one that our family owned that I can remember. But I will say, different from a lot of the other movies that we've covered, I thought I knew this movie pretty well, but Jimmy and I just rewatched it together 2 nights ago, and he can attest to this. Like, he was like quoting things, calling things out, and I'm like, I don't remember this. Even to like, we got to the end, he's like, "Oh, the end is like so good." I'm like, I don't even know what happens. He's like, "You don't know what happens?" I'm like, no, I'm genuinely like on the edge of my seat, ready for this ending. So this rewatch felt like a new experience for me, which is great. I'm thankful for it.
Michelle thought they were going to win the gold medal, just so we're clear here.
Different from a lot of Disney movies. So
yeah.
Laura, going back to the first time I watched this, I was wondering, so it probably was on TV, but it also could have been a rental, which my family at the time rented from Captain Video. And on this rewatch, I picked up for the first time that when their coach is rooting for the horse at the beginning, when he's first trying to get in touch with them, Captain Video, I think, is the horse, the name of the horse that beats his horse in the race. So I found that kind of funny as we were watching it, because like that might have been the first time I watched it was from Captain Video, and then Captain Video is mentioned in one of the early scenes.
Yeah, sadly, Tumbleweed did not win the race.
Yeah.
Great. Of course. Wait, was Captain Video was it a chain, like a Blockbuster?
It was just a local one in Ardsley.
Wow, we need to bring back this video store. I couldn't see this entire thing through as a retirement venture for the two of you someday, opening up, reviving a VHS or DVD store, and you can have a golden tea inside if people want to hang out.
I can't tell you how many times I have for the last this season, for the sports season, that I have considered going to the library, renting the DVD, and hooking up. We think Jimmy's PlayStation can still play DVDs and watching it just to have the experience. And so many of these films are back in the 90s.
I used to have most of these films on DVD. I'm pretty sure a member of our family got rid of them.
You two still have a lot of series on DVDs, though.
We do. We still have a whole shelf in one of our guest rooms. That's
and I don't
kind
think
of the ones that made the cut, according to me.
Yeah.
I was the curator of what could go, what could stay.
I know we're going to get into all the things that we love, but I think this is a movie that is not talked about enough. I think that it's beloved, but I think everyone's like, oh yeah, great movie. But no one is talking about how absolutely amazing this film is. And I think I'm going to bring it up to strangers in the next couple of weeks.
I think there might be 2 or 3 reasons for that. One, it's PG, it's Disney, it's kind of a kids movie, so it can't be, by that lens, it can't be good. Though I think that there's plenty of Disney live action movies that are. And then, we'll probably get into this later too. The fact that while it's based on a true story, it's really not. I think that might have something to do with it as well.
Because there's a really great just CBS interview that they did with the Jamaican bobsled team from 1988 or 1987. I know I wasn't alive in the 80s, but I just love watching old like news interviews. It just feels you're just frozen in time. And growing up, I never, because I was so young, sort of what we were talking about in some other movies from the season, I never really was thinking about, oh, is this a real team? Like, are they nailing the backstory really well? But clearly this is like a, very loosely based on that team. And then they turned it into this other story. So I actually think in a way, I don't know what works. Like from what I've read, I don't think that people care too much about them like nailing down the story. I think if anything, creating an entirely new story is the way to go, because you're never going to be able to get the actual story completely right. And I feel like taking this comedic route instead of the, serious tone of how the script was originally formalized, I just don't think that movie would have done as well. And sometimes it's really nice to have like a PG film that the whole family can watch, but is still, there's so many aspects of this movie that I think are relevant into adulthood that we can all take away from.
Laura, you were born about 4 months after this movie came out.
I think like a month.
Yeah, it was October, came out on October 1st. So.
Oh, I thought it came out in July, but yeah.
Was born with this film. So
you were born amid many great films. I mean, I didn't even really consider this, but this is not so dissimilar from A League of Their Own when it comes to it's based on a historical event, but we're not really pulling the characters specifically from it. And I agree with you, Laura, wholeheartedly from a storytelling perspective. It just allows for so much more creativity and like telling a great story to just say like it's inspired by these events, but we're not going to try to replicate all the details, because ultimately that just, I think, leads to disappointment.
Yeah. And I also think I think that people have a right to feel this way, but when there is a movie being made about a real person and their experiences, I think that they should be very much involved in the creative process. Maybe not every single time. I know there's different circumstances, but I feel like just in order to be respectful and like authentic, if you're going to have it so on the nose, it should be coming from the person that actually experienced it. I think that's why a lot of the times films flop when they try and do a true story, because it's very clear that the creator behind it doesn't actually have any intel into what it was. I'm probably going to get attacked by the film community, but
the biopic lovers.
Yes, the biopic lovers. Well, Jimmy, since this was your sports pick, what do you love the most about Cool Runnings?
Dougie Doug. Sanka Coffee. Although I don't love his character's name. A little weird. I don't know, actually, because of the way they kind of pronounce his name, it's like Sanka Coffee. I got that, like, the Sanka Coffee thing, but it also wasn't super distracting because it wasn't like they were saying Sanka Coffee the entire movie. But yeah, his comedicness throughout the entire movie is really what makes this rewatchable and not just like a good one-time movie. When we talk about quotes from this movie, I think most of them will be his. Probably what I like the most about the movie.
Going back to the history of what this movie could have been, I'm so happy that it ended up being a comedy. Michelle and I always say this, but the perfect movies kind of have a little bit of everything, a little bit of laughter, a little bit of seriousness, a little bit of learning, or cool shots. But I think that the comedic aspect, which definitely stems from Sanka, and then kind of builds into the other characters' relationships. He's definitely the comedic relief for a very like, serious sport or serious subject matter of, being an Olympian is no joke. But I also think that the character introductions are just so on point for this film. And like when we meet him for the first time, he's derby racing. And then to be able to take that scene and basically do the juxtaposition of once they get to the Olympics and like he's on ice. My God, it's just like everything that comes out of his mouth is funny. You can't not laugh and you can't not want to quote it. But I think they did such a good job of introducing us to him and then just carrying his personality throughout.
It should be ugly, but like everything is really beautiful. Like obviously the Jamaica scenes are beautiful, but then when they get to Calgary and like, or is it Calgary or Vancouver?
It's Calgary. Yeah.
It is Calgary. Yeah. When they get to Calgary, it's like, the sleds are beautiful. Like they're all these, really nice. Even theirs ends up being really nice at the end. I don't know how you hand paint that like that, but the bright, vibrant colors on all the sleds, I just feel like very visually appealing.
Yeah. And I think also their outfits, like I had so many things written down about how much I loved 90s fashion and kind of the nostalgia of the original Adidas and Champion, but then to take these four boys from a different country and have their bright colors kind of like outshine the rest of everyone kind of wearing the same exact uniform. I thought they did a really good job of that. And then having the sleds was so fun too.
Loved the costumes in this, especially Sanka's, because I think that they kind of gave, they really dressed him to match his personality. They gave him all the most fun things, and especially in the beginning, he was wearing more like something like this, more like rainbow colored. A little bit more love for Sanka. I would go as far as to say that I don't think that I would like this movie if he wasn't in it. I think that he is the glue that's holding it all together. And even when I'm thinking about John Candy, I think of him as a really funny person, and I don't think that they really gave him any of that in this movie unless I'm overlooking it, but like I felt like the whole movie was supposed to be very light, and Sanka, Dougie Doug, was doing all the heavy lifting. Like I'm trying to think about other parts that were funny in the movie that like he was not involved in.
Yeah, I don't think that John Candy, he only had, I think, kind of a sprinkle of some comedic, I would say, reactions. Like it really is when we are introduced to him, right? He's like the bookie. And when he's like Jimmy had mentioned, he was yelling for the horse race. Like I thought that scene was really funny. So it's more like subtle one-liners. Like there's the part where he plays the bobsled video to try and entice people to be recruited, and then he's kind of like narrating it, which is super funny. But then he's like mouthing back and forth to Sanka when they meet Yul Brynner for the first time, and they're like, "Oh, that's his name." But I actually think that I know that Junior and Yul Brynner's relationship ends up being this like really beautiful like brotherhood. And I will save all of that for a little bit later, but they are really funny. Like I always laugh during those scenes of them kind of like joking around with each other and back and forth banter of being angry with each other. But Sanka really is like the heart of the comedy. And the rest is mostly serious. Like I think that if we had spent more time with even like Sanka's mom and the family, we only have so much time. It's only I think an hour and 38 minutes. So there's a chunk of the movie that's in Jamaica, which I actually really enjoyed those scenes. I like forgot how much time we spend there. But I think that if this had been a different movie and we got more time with like the people that are closest to them and their relationships, we probably would have even gotten more of like Sanka dialed up.
I had the same note. I was surprised in a good way at how much time we spent in Jamaica. And I'm happy that we did, because that really was the part of the movie that felt more like colorful and vibrant. And Jimmy, I'm glad that you said like that you thought the Calgary part was beautiful, because that's, they really brought that beauty to a very gray place. But I mean, when I'm thinking about the Calgary scenes, I'm getting stressed because I really feel like I share in Sanka's, dislike of being cold. But you really just get like, I mean, like Calgary in the winter is like it's almost like uninhabitable, but they're really thrown into this extreme.
The movie shifts, right? It shifts much more. The comedy becomes more about the fish out of water, and also it becomes much more about the underdog story. The other comedy scene in Jamaica that I think had me laughing the most yesterday was when they finally get their good run down the hill in the joke of a slip. I mean, the sled in general, what is it? It's like a hollowed out oil can or something like that that they're using. And it just looks absolutely ridiculous. And then they crash into the police car, and like the police are like, what are you doing? And he's running down the hill so excited that they had like their best run. And the cops are like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh yeah, we're a bobsled team. And they're laughing at him. And then he comes down and sounds all ridiculous, and the cops are like, we need to figure this situation out. And he's like, yeah, that's not important. These guys just had their best run. Get back to the top of the hill.
I love that scene. I especially love the way that they interact with the police officers. I mean, this is something that I love in any movie where there's supposed to be an authority figure, but the comedy is just in completely dismissing them.
I always love like training scenes. I think they're so underrated.
Jimmy, I want to get this out of the way because I'm being distracted by it. Jimmy, you talked about also the beauty of them like kind of painting and refinishing the bobsled kind of toward the ends of the movie right before they're having like the actual event. And we had some discrepancy earlier in the year over the Jamaican flag. So when we brought up that we were going to be doing this movie, immediately the first thing Jimmy said that he wanted to talk about was about the colors of the Jamaican flag. So go ahead, Jimmy, you have the floor.
I have an affinity for this movie. I like it. I've seen it multiple times. But I really chose this movie for spite because we did have a disagreement, and your sister and your father insisted that the colors of the Jamaican flag were red, green, and black. And I've seen this movie at least 30 times and was saying, they're green, black, and gold. And I got overruled.
This was during a trivia night. So he was very upset that because Dad and I were insistent that red was one of the colors, we lost points. And
and their uniforms are so nice, so it's like so evident that it's green, black, and gold. It's a big part.
So when you said you were overruled during trivia. So
yes.
Yeah, this wasn't just like a dinner time chat.
Yeah,
we lost points.
It was costly.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. For listeners, if there's any trivia fans out there, if you ever want a good but strong-minded teammate, you can join Jimmy's trivia team, because when he knows he's right about an answer, he usually is right. I think the last time Dom and I we tried to go to trivia in our town, which we went to like once so far, and it was rough. It was bleak.
It was as bleak as Calgary in 1988.
Bleak as Michelle and Dad not knowing the colors of the Jamaican flag. Yeah, that's a toughie that you got overruled for that one.
I'll tell you why I had it in my head that red was involved. And it actually does somewhat have a connection to this movie. So our family went to Jamaica. And we went to Jamaica, I found, when they were filming this movie. I mean, we weren't like there. We didn't like almost miss it. But when they said they were filming, this was like early in 93, which is when we were there. When we came home, we all got these little bracelets that said, Jamaican phrases on them. And I swear that my bracelet had red threading as part of it. So I must have not gotten like the official colors. I think that red, maybe it was just like an accompanying color, but that was my defense. And, I guess Dad was just trying to be a good dad and backing me up.
Michelle, use your head.
I wanted to talk just a little bit about Olympic movies and the Olympics in general. I think that they make for good movies. They're great stories. And I was thinking about in the 90s, when this movie came out, how much I loved the Olympics and how special and how exciting it was. And we were learning about it in school. The two Olympics that I remember the most were, I think it was the Winter Olympics, the Kristi Yamaguchi year, and then the 96 Olympics in Atlanta, the Summer Olympics. I have such positive, wonderful memories about learning about them in school, about getting really into all of the athletes. And I think it's something that we just had the Winter Olympics in Milan, right? And I was trying really hard. I'm like, I'm going to get into the Olympics this year because I really like the feeling of, you know, the whole world kind of coming together to watch something, and that's positive. But I couldn't get into it in the way that I thought that I would, or the way that I am being nostalgic about how I enjoyed it as a kid. And not to throw the internet under the bus again, but I think that that is a huge factor in just enjoyment being sucked from things, because it was just simpler in the 90s. Like, we didn't have many big things like this, like the Olympics to look forward to. We couldn't stream whatever we wanted to on demand. We had to like wait for it, and we had to wait, 4 years in between each one, which just made it so special. So I guess I know that this isn't completely relevant to Cool Runnings specifically, but just the Olympics in the 90s, I love so much.
And
No, I think that you have a point, and I know that it's obviously a film and it's over exaggerated, but those scenes where they're back home and watching them perform while they're all in a bar and cheering and having the same emotions, people do that now. But to your point, like, they're also looking on their phone and being able to get overall Twitter updates every 5 minutes of, oh, well, how's this performing? Where people just used to have the Olympics on. Like, I remember being at Aunt Sally and Uncle Joe's house for, I don't know which Summer Olympics it was, but I, was there for camp for a couple weeks, and we just had it on the TV.
the
Oh, like,
tape
there was
delays
nothing.
definitely hurt. It definitely, like, knowing the results ahead of time. I don't know if this is related or it's just the timing of it, but also for me, like, it used to be an Olympics year, and now, they've split the summer and Olympic games, and it feels like the Olympics almost sneak up on me in a way, like, oh, I didn't realize, this is, the Winter Olympics coming up, because it used to be, every 4 years you just had an Olympic year, and now with them divided up, I don't know, I feel like there's less fanfare overall.
I agree. I feel like every time they come again, I'm like, wait, this seems too sudden. Where, I don't know, when I was younger, it always felt like a really big moment, the big moment.
But speaking of, like, other Olympic movies, and I think you guys did Miracle or are going to do Miracle at some point.
TV,
Maybe.
maybe.
Okay.
Subscribe and find out.
That's a great movie. You should definitely do that one. But obviously that is one of the first ones I think of. But one of the other ones that I think of is Eddie the Eagle, which is a great movie too, if you haven't seen that. And that actually was the same year. It was also 1988, that same Olympics as the Jamaican bobsled team. And I just think about, like, these two underdog stories being the same year, and the fact that, like, how fun it must have been to be watching the Olympics and have an understanding for, these two huge underdog stories taking place at the same time.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
do you want to give a very quick synopsis of what Eddie the Eagle is about?
Yeah, so Eddie is a cross-country skier in the UK who continually tries to make the team. In the movie, at least, they kind of paint it as, like, he didn't really have the right pedigree. Whether he was good enough or not was left open for question, but he certainly wasn't brought up the same way that the rest of the team was. So he got left behind, wasn't able to make it. But his entire dream since he was really little was to make the Olympics. He somehow finds out about ski jumping. The UK has never had a ski jumper, and he teaches himself. This is, like, all within a year before the Olympics. They have to have a jump of a certain length. He gets it by like a foot, but it's probably like half of the length of a jump that like a normal Olympic athlete would get. He goes to the Olympics and he sticks a jump again. He's in like last place, but he sticks a jump and celebrates like he won gold and becomes a fan favorite.
It's very sweet. We just watched it. Well, Jimmy had watched it years ago and was always talking about it, and then I finally watched it with him this year. But it's definitely a good companion movie to Cool Runnings, not just because it's in the same year, but like Jimmy said, it's like also an underdog story. And I feel like it kind of went under the radar. Hugh Jackman plays the coach, and Taron Egerton plays Eddie the Eagle.
And it makes me think of the bobsled story, because in real life in the bobsled story, they were only there to do the 2-man bobsled, and last minute they ended up doing the 4-man, and a guy had to call his brother to get a fourth that wasn't even registered for the Olympics, and they got him like signed up that day and then did the 4-man bobsled.
I really love that lead-in story of building the team for this movie, because we talked about this in another, I can't remember which episode this season, but it wasn't like the quintessential, we're going to individually introduce each person and then recruit them. We had already met them. We got to know their personality as soon as they were introduced. And the fact that they all kind of had this like connective tissue of at least 3 athletes who were hoping to go to the Olympics. This was kind of like their last shot. I thought it was very original. I just have to say, overall, like if I was a screenwriting teacher, I would show this movie. I think that it's such a tight film, 1 hour and 38 minutes. It has like all the beats that you need. It has the right pinches throughout of like things that are going wrong. The characters have to resolve it, but you're really enjoying it throughout. And I think now we're so used to like longer form content because everything kind of needs to fit in the realm of streaming, which is like obviously enjoy so many things that are continuing to come out. But I just think that the actors do a really good job. I was really pleasantly surprised to read that Junior's character, who I love spending time with in this film, wasn't even one of the actors. He was really only brought in to read scripts. So I love hearing those like tidbits of the magical things that like had no business working out in the first place. And then all these nuggets come together to make this a film that's so beloved by many people. And similarly, like John Candy's character, again, even though he doesn't have comedic moments, I think he is so important into like the tone of the movie, and like I can't really picture anyone else in that role. I think that he had like taken a pay cut to be in this role because he just loved the script so much. So all these kind of like tidbits, and then the fact that I just think that this is like a really great script, and I think it's set up really well. I think all of the components I have to just applaud.
Yeah, to talk just a little bit more about John Candy. He's such a just a unique actor, and he has such a unique energy and just such a warmth about him. And I think that really is part of that magic you're describing, Laura. I think you can't quite put your finger on it, but just his presence alone in this movie like makes it feel special.
I like that storyline of he is needing to overcome this big thing that he's been carrying on his back for 16 years. So, they all sort of saved each other in the end. And you really, again, which is, I think, makes for a good script. Like they all had really strong, I think, character development from seeing where they all were in Jamaica and where they ended at the finish line. I keep using the word tight, but it's a very tight movie.
Anytime you have a movie that has a bunch of unknowns, obviously John Candy was known, but I don't think that any of the other actors in this were really well known. And it works this well, and the cast obviously had good rapport with each other. You talk about the banter between Yul Brynner and Junior, Sanka's constant ribbing. Is Doris the main character? I think he is, but he's kind of almost, he kind of lets everybody else do the work, and like he's a little bit more in the background, but I think as an ensemble, like it really works.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of Doris, because he really is like the captain, and he is the most serious one. I mean, I love that setup, of John Candy saying, if you want to be captain, he's the first one, up in the morning. He's the last one to go to bed. He's not out drinking with the guys. And you just kind of get these really nice cuts to like Doris's face of like being very humble, but with the understanding that, yes, like I am captain material.
And then they go through and actually show it, right? Because they have them go out to the bar. He doesn't.
So much of, again, some of those callbacks are like, I say juxtaposition a lot on this podcast, but again, like showing the shots of them in Jamaica and practicing, or even like, setting up with how they were like at the track in the beginning and then on the track at the end. Like, I think they really do a good job of fitting everything in that needs to be shown.
One other thing that I think maybe belongs here, because it's different than how other movies have handled this in the past. But like a lot of these underdog stories, they have a coach that's not really likable, and they kind of bond around their dislike for the coach. And that's like a common sports thing too. It's like the Bobby Knight thing where like, I'm going to be really tough on you guys. He was the coach at Indiana. Like, I'm going to be really tough on you guys, and you guys are going to bond because you're all going to hate me, and it's going to make you a better team. And, I kind of think of like Varsity Blues as an example of that, where they all hate the coach. They come together. They end up kicking the coach out. But like, you hate the coach throughout the entire movie. In this one, they paint John Candy as a guy that, has got a colored past. He's done things wrong, but he's still a part of the ensemble. Like, he's a part of the team. So it's kind of cool to see it in a different way.
I do think a lot of the aspects of this movie didn't follow the same tropes of like what we see in other sports movies, because it has the lightheartedness and the comedic aspects. It gave them room, the actors, I think, to play a little bit more and then like fit in the, the lessons that they want the audience to learn at the end of the day. But like, I think this script and this story very much like created its own model for like what a sports film could be.
This is something that is done in many other movies and many other stories, but Little Giants may have done this a little bit, but they're a lot more on the nose about it in this. So I love stories where people succeed once they decide that they're going to do things in their style, and that is the thing that helps them. So my favorite example of this, hopefully I will get to repeat myself because I would love to cover this movie in the future, but is at the end of Sister Act 2, kind of at the last minute, right before they're about to do their performance. They take their robes off and they're just going to like be themselves, wear their outfits and like sing, they're kind of like shedding the whole like choir vibe that they've been working up to, and decides to be themselves. And that's the thing that helps them win. So in this, I love, again, Sanka kind of being the one to be pushing this throughout, I guess, like most of this, like the second half of the movie, like once they get to Calgary, is they cannot win by trying to be like the other bobsledders, by trying to be like Germans, by trying to fit into this environment where they really don't belong. That's not where they're going to thrive, and kind of like bringing their roots and their Jamaican spirit to actually like doing this in, competitively, and actually getting the bobsled down is it the track? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm like losing my sports terminology.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking that before because I was writing down their first, it's not a match. It's like a run, I guess.
It's a run.
Yep. Yeah, a run. Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
Also, did you notice like a bad run is 60 seconds, but a good run is 58 seconds. So that was kind of interesting too. And I don't know how true that is to sport, but like, they're like, oh, they were, 59. That wasn't very good. And then they're like, ooh, 58-10. That's awesome.
I would not last one day as an Olympian. I wouldn't ever make it to not make it. But yeah. And I also love that portion, Michelle, where that's when they start to kind of like, Sanka starts to say the phrases like before they go down. That's kind of like the change. But I also kind of love when Doris becomes like obsessed with the Swiss team. I always found that very funny that he then starts dressing like them, like he's wearing the all red. He keeps like, counting like them. He's really trying to like emulate it. which I was thinking not just in sports, but it's like in any subject matter. If someone's a chef or like they're trying to emulate, the top tier, but if you don't find your own groove, you'll never be able to succeed. So,
But it's not even that they're the best. He's never seen a bobsled before, let alone a bobsled-er. So this is the only bobsledder that he's ever seen.
Yeah, but
so
I
of
think
course he's going to emulate them.
Precision of everything, it's he's seeing the order and not the chaos. That they need that chaos in order to feel comfortable with each other. The only other thing that I've kind of mentioned the fashion, but just some of, I think my favorite fashion moments were kind of nostalgia of champion, like Doris is wearing like a champion shirt at one point, like old Adidas sneakers. I just feel like they don't make them like that anymore. They're not.
There's too many of them now.
Not as great quality. Yeah, I love like the USA jackets that
Yes.
John Handy's old teammates wear. Those are great. I would love to get like a vintage USA team jacket, and of course the Jamaican bobsled T-shirt, which I'm buying.
And you'll never forget the color of the Jamaican flag again.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
How do you feel about the plot point that the people that are on the team, the only people that really stay for the meeting, are the people that were tripped in the race?
I kind of love it. I think it's not realistic, but I think that it works, specifically again because of the commonality of so many of these movies that follow the same blueprint of like, we're gonna build the best team. Let's go to this guy's house and see how much he bench presses. Oh wow, he would be great for this. Like they just took this. It's basically people in like extenuating circumstances where they had this big thing on the line, and then it's like this thing that they're already tied by, we're now going to take it a step further and continue to keep them together. I personally loved it. I thought that it was very, very.
Did Juna have a chance to win that race?
No, I think that Doris would have won. I mean, maybe the three of them would have been on the same team. And I love that Junior's introduction is like such an honor to run with you.
I got to keep nitpicking that for a minute. I just, there's no way he trips the two of them, and they're like, okay, we've got our three runners for the Olympics. It's these three guys that actually finished the race. Like, there has to be more than one heat to decide who goes to the Olympics, and it's not a just one-time, one-shot deal.
Maybe, but then we wouldn't have this movie, so let's just, we'll just let it go. Speaking of, I think that we can talk about things that we didn't love. Michelle, you're nodding your head.
This wasn't a strong dislike, but I think I did feel a little bit of lack of connection, and I wanted a little bit more of a relationship story. I thought that the storyline between Yul Brynner and Junior was like one of the strongest storylines in this. So with them, it really worked. And because it was so strong, I felt like it was lacking with the rest of them. I mean, we know that Sanka and Doris were friends before, and they have a little bit of a backstory. And we do get that one cute scene with them where you know, like they're going to be there for each other no matter what, like before they like agree to do this.
And that's the section that I completely forgot about, or that entire interaction, which I thought was really sweet.
But yeah, I think because they didn't need to have any kind of conflict between Doris and Sanka, like that they didn't have anything to repair, so there kind of wasn't really a story for them there. Even with John Candy's character, Irv, by the way, I think Irving and Irv as a nickname is a great name. We talked a little bit how we liked that he has this great redemption story, but I don't feel like it's super deeply tied to them. I mean, I feel like it could have been like any four people. The fact that it was like specifically these four individuals, I don't know how much played into that transformation arc for him. So I think I wanted a little bit more meat across the board in the relationships.
But I also how do you fit that into an hour and 30?
Okay, so let me tell you, because this is my biggest rewrite for the movie. This is what I would have done slightly differently. I think the movie should have started with Irv. I think it should have started with his glory. I think he should have been having a flashback moment, looking at his medals or his pictures on the wall, and just do like a quick little montage of the highs and the lows. So you get to see his relationship with his teammates when it's good, and then you get to see it sour. And then you can cut to the Jamaicans that are going to end up making the actual team. And then to make that fit and still keep it at the hour and 30, I would cut the scene of them running on the ice. I get it, right? It's trying to show, again, fish out of water, that they're not able to run on ice. They've never seen ice before. But all of the, like, oh, I hear they have a good team this year. You know, the goalies get, like, those awkward little John Candy. It would be so much more meaningful if we got a little bit more of John Candy's relationship with his teammates, so that when we meet them later on, we saw what was and understand their anger a little bit better. And then, you know, have more of an opportunity for that redemption of him, along with, you know, what's going on with the Jamaican team.
I like that. I think if they did that, I would also like to see his relationship with Doris's dad, who he feels like such an important part of this movie, but also almost an afterthought because he's not in it.
And if you're doing a quick montage from the pictures on the wall, you can do that too, right? Because he's got the picture of him with Doris's dad. Like, maybe that's one of the little.
I don't know if I would have liked that. Just because I don't love when they do flashbacks. But at the same time, they very much point blank, to both of your points, like, tell us exactly what happened. Like, I cheated, I did this, and it doesn't.
You just did an entire movie that was an entire the entire movie was a flashback. League of Their Own. She's looking at the pictures. She's thinking about going to meet.
Because it's the whole movie. Where I feel like this, it's like, I just feel like it would have been a cheap thing to be like, this is his backstory and this is why he's so like, I almost wish they would have let us guess a little bit more. But I think you have to think about the genre of this movie. It's like, it's a PG family comedy. It would just be a different movie if we're trying to get so deep on all these like relationships and characters. Like, I don't know.
He talks about going to bat for his team when he's trying to get the sled, right? He's like, I went to bat for you. You wouldn't have even been on the team. I don't know. I just feel like it would have been cool to not have him have to say that and for us to have actually seen it.
Yeah, I also think that because John Candy was introduced later into the movie, if I was even really necessarily so invested in his story, I was only invested in his story because it was connected with this other journey that we started on. His whole character kind of took a back seat, which
but it is weird,
though,
right?
Fine, but
we've said it, like, Doris is the lead. He's the first one you see. He is the lead of this movie, but he's also almost the most replaceable in the movie.
Yeah, he kind of has the most boring storyline. Maybe not. I think with him, like, they introduced this plot point of his dad, and I think I wanted just more from that overall. I don't feel like Therese, did he have an arc? Did he grow and change?
I mean, I think that his growth was going to the Olympic. Like, I don't think it was very dramatic, but I think it was like he almost changed in a bad way once he got there.
Okay.
Yeah, you could argue his growth is that he needs to respect who he is.
And Candy kind of gives him the speech of like, it's not about winning. And I do think there is truth in that, because he kind of starts off with like, I have to go to the Olympics and I have to win because I have to kind of carry on the legacy of my dad. And I think by the end he realizes like, that's not what it's about. It's being able to, like, we're representing Jamaica and like, I have to, you know, cross the finish line just to finish, but not out of honor, not out of, you know, needing to prove my worth. But I understand it's not very dramatic. For me, none of these things really surface because I think I just watched this movie in a different light than I do as like a serious indie film, that I'm like, I need all of these like super deep backstories. Like, I think I'm just enjoying the film for what it is. PG
And
family.
also, if they had that backstory, then we're focusing more time on something that didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
I have one other thing that I disliked, but it's also tangential to the movie. So I was very surprised to both recognize the voice and spot someone familiar to me, Al Trotwig, there were kind of two announcers toward the end of the movie that are actually like announcing for like the big event, the main
The
event.
ones that end up wearing the t-shirts.
Yes, he is one of the two that is, and because they like pull off their jackets at the end, and it's like I'm wearing a Jamaican shirt, and the other one's like I'm wearing one. Yes.
Okay, so one of those guys, and Laura, I don't know if you would have recognized him or not, but he was kind of like a staple. He was always on our TV as a kid. He worked for MSG and he did a lot of the like pre and post game shows for Knicks games and for Rangers games. It was one of those like blast from the past moments where I hadn't thought about him in forever, but when I saw him, I'm like, oh, like I know this person, like I know this voice and I know this person so well. So then I went to go look him up because I didn't even remember that he was in this movie, and sadly found out that he passed away last year, young, I think in his late 60s. So my dislike is that he passed away, but it's also cool to discover that this movie is now part of his legacy.
He made his way back into your life for a brief moment. It's beautiful.
I have one other nit that I don't like: the VHS cover.
Specifically, the VHS cover.
Well, I don't know because that's the only one I've ever seen, and I did look it up again before this because I was trying to make sure that it like matched my memory, and it's like them wearing clothes that they would wear in Jamaica, like all short sleeves, but in the winter and with like icicles hanging off of them and like shivering, and it's behind their bobsled, which has got the nice Jamaica print on it. I don't know. I hate when marketing shows things that are not in the movie, and like this is showing something that's not in the movie and it's on the cover. It is a comedy. It is an underdog story too. It's focusing really heavy on the comedy with the cover, and I just don't love it.
Well, Jimmy, you're married to a very beautiful artist, so maybe she can draw up an alternative VHS cover.
I actually don't want to show her the cover because I think it might be why she thinks there's red in the Jamaican flag too, because the lettering is all green, gold, and red with a black outline. So maybe this is why she had it in her head that there was red in the Jamaican flag.
Perhaps.
Maybe this is a Mandela effect thing. Let us know, audience, if anyone else thought that there was red in the Jamaican flag.
I did, before I forget, because I know we've been talking a lot about our love for the Olympics, but question for the table for the evening. I would like to know what everyone's favorite Olympic sport is to watch. And it could be winter or summer.
Can we also share, if we were in the Olympics, what sport we would want to participate in? So this is a 2-answer question for the table.
Maybe there's a cop-out, but essentially anything where people are flying down a mountain at like 90 plus miles an hour. So whether it be the luge, the skeleton, the bobsled, love all of those. I love downhill skiing, slalom. Slalom's really cool. The fact that like they're going and hitting these sticks at 90 miles an hour in slalom to like get through the gates is just fascinating to me. So yeah, I like any of the really fast downhill sports.
Do you like roller coasters, Jimmy?
I don't, but I like watching. I mean, I like watching the fast downhill. I'm not saying that I would be a participant. Although I do think that I would be pretty good at skeleton. That's the one where it's just you go head first, basically down the same thing as the bobsled on like a tiny little sled. And like I've got years of practice from doing that as a kid. So
just like on a skateboard.
I feel pretty confident for that.
So that would be if you were signing up for an Olympic sport with an actual chance of winning. Is that what you're picking?
I think so.
Favorite to watch. I'm going to pick 2, which I know are both kind of the basics, but I love gymnastics. The floor routines are just so entertaining. And ice skating. No, actually, I think that ice skating would be the one that I'd want to perform.
Okay, Laura, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I always thought like it was pairs figure skating. But now recently I've heard pairs ice dancing. Is that the same event? Are there two different events?
No, I think that they're the same.
Okay. Did it get like a rebrand?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm definitely not like an Olympian expert. I just am a viewer. I would love to be a professional ice skater.
Topic.
Not a surprise that I have the same answers as you, Laura. Love gymnastics, love figure skating. I have one other one that I enjoy because I think it has a lot of the same qualities in like kind of like artistry and movement, but I love the high dive as well. Yeah,
Oh,
that's always enjoyable to watch. And hands down, I would want to compete as a figure skater, but I don't think I would want to do pairs. I think I would want to do a solo
I was just gonna say,
act.
maybe in another lifetime we were sister skaters together.
Oh, maybe this could be like a new event. Maybe this could be like sisters ice dancing
Yes.
pairs.
To take this up instead of tap dancing. What do we think?
I would love to do it. You're a decent, you can skate.
Yeah.
We kind of grew up going to the ice rink as an activity for a lot of our childhood. So I feel like we kind of learned how to skate like from a young age. But I also took figure skating as my phys ed in college. So I learned a few advanced moves.
Well, maybe when we do Tanya, you can pull out some moves for us.
Our figure skating season.
No, it could be on this season.
Oh, that's true.
Well, if you do a figure skating movie, you can put me down for the cutting edge.
Yeah, okay. Jimmy's a big fan.
I think that I actually did remember one last thing that I didn't like, but it was more of a self-inflicted, not like the racing scene, like when they're running in the early parts of the movie. I was just getting so much anxiety of like the days when I ran track and having to wait for, can't they pick something other than a gun? I'd rather like a foghorn, anything at all. Can't they? I would even include technology in it. Like, what if we all had the same headphones on and it gave us like a little ding so that we all knew when it went? Like, it feels like there can be another solution.
I would agree with that. It feels a little extreme. And also, you know, in today's world where we've adapted so many things to account for people who have like real sensitivities to like loud sounds and that kind of thing, that there's not some kind of alternative. Did you run track? I didn't even know. I'm learning so much about you. I also didn't know you played softball. So you really I
was really good at track, but I ended up switching to golf when I got to high school. I was really good at hurdles when I didn't get in my own head.
What's going to be our track movie?
Well, that was the thing that I had written down. I was like, does this mean that we have to do a track movie now?
I mean, I guess this can kind of count.
Yes. Let's just count this. I don't want to have to relive the anxiety of track. And I don't really think maybe there is a running movie. Listeners, we want to hear from you. You can submit your favorite track and fields related. Maybe there's a cross country movie that we're not thinking of. Okay, let's get into our favorite quotes and favorite scenes. I feel like it's a highly anticipated section. Jimmy, we'll let you roll first since we know you have a lot of Sanka related quotes.
I don't know that I have a lot. I think the two that I quote all the time, and they don't really fit, well, at least one of them doesn't really fit like the situation ever, is I say Sanka, you dead, man, way more than needed because I don't really know the right situation for that, but it could suit like I woke up before Michelle and she's not moving, like, are you dead?
Sanka, you dead? Yeah, man.
Or it could be you fell off your bike or whatever the case may be. I feel like you just throw that quote around a lot. The one that you mentioned is probably the longest one that I like. Not really requotable, but just like the whole quote about what it takes to be the driver
He's also responsible for the lives of the other 3 people in his sled. Now, do you want that responsibility?
And then Sanka's like,
I say we make Doris the driver.
Once he gets in the car, I always laugh. He goes, "The back is nice."
yes, that is great too. I think that was probably Michelle's biggest laugh last night or 2 nights ago when we watched this. And then just ice.
Ice! And it's kind of a winter sport, you know.
Again, not one that I actually quote very often, but I also like.
I'm not smoking, I'm breathing.
Yeah, the entire personality trait of him hating the colds just made me so happy, and it felt so relatable, especially for Michelle, I'm sure.
I liked like at the beginning of the movie when he's going down in the pushcart race, and also like his co-captain of his pushcart is like 8 years old. But he's going down to the pushcart and he's trash talking all the other competitors, which I would have to go watch it again because I haven't really paid too much attention. I think he's by far the oldest competitor in the pushcart race. So he's like trash talking everybody else, but like he's seems to be maybe the only adult actually in the race.
I feel like that's very you, Jimmy. Like I could see you in a situation like that where you're like the oldest one and the most experienced, but you're also still trash talking.
Yeah. We gotta get our nieces and nephews into derby racing, and Jimmy can be the driver. Jimmy, do you have a favorite scene?
I already said the one scene that I really like, the downhill at the beginning when they're first figuring it out and they're rising above it and they're going down the hill in Jamaica. I think this is the thing with all of these underdog sports movies. You feel so good after the last scene. And in this one, it's weird because they crashed and they didn't win. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie and you're watching this podcast, too damn bad. You should watch the movie before you listen to the podcast. But like they crash and they don't win and it's still uplifting and you still feel great at the end of the movie.
The end is incredible. And I truly was surprised. And I didn't truly think that they were going to win gold, but I was thinking, okay, what is going to be the thing that makes this end on a high note? And I should have been smart enough because they have that great setup and that great scene between Doris and Irv and talking about what it means to be a champion and like how he's going to know that he feels like a winner. And he says, when you cross that finish line, and just calling back to that, I mean, just exceptional writing.
So I have not seen the real life crash, but like, does like one of them have a bloody nose? I know that it's PG, but like, there's not a scratch on them. Their heads were dragging across the ice for like 500 feet, and they don't have a single scratch.
I also like the setup where sorry, I'm getting all deep with life lessons, but when Doris is talking to his wife at the beginning of the movie, and he says like,
I don't care how much they want it. I want it more.
I'm gonna make it to the Olympics. And he does, but it's like not how he thought he would make it to the Olympics. So I thought that was like a good little setup as well.
Yeah, and in some ways it is, I mean, of course, this is coming from like a non-sports person perspective, but I think it's just as cool to be able to participate in a sport that you can't play than to just go for the thing that you've been training for your whole life. Like that still really says something about you as an athlete and as an individual.
Michelle, what about you?
Well, we already kind of talked about, I think, what one of my favorite scenes is, and that's like the putting the team together scene. Maybe not like the whole sequence, but I really like the moment at the end where they kind of have this little bit of a like they're like posing, and Yul Brynner like kind of has his back to everybody else. I just really like that image as a snapshot, and I think that whole sequence was just kind of funny and unexpected. Again, I think going into this and not really knowing where things were going, I was like locked in.
I have one more really big one, but I'm going to let Laura go first in the hopes that she brings it up and then I can just nod my head.
I mean, I think of when they first go down, they have their first run on ice, and Sanka is just screaming for 15, for a full 15 minutes, or I guess 58 seconds. And I love that he's saying, like, to Reese, like, he's like, please make it stop. I don't like this. I'm just thinking about being in this really intimate tube or this intimate sled and having someone screaming at the top of your lungs. And there is this snap moment where you realize this is the first time they're sledding on ice. So
and they didn't even run, right? They were just pushed.
Yes. But honestly, my favorite scenes are the sentimental ones that we get between Yul and Junior. Because, and I agree, Michelle, I think like their bond or their character arc or their friendship is so strong that it's almost like they're carrying the emotional aspect of the movie. But, we start off with, Jimmy left Jamaica.
Yeah, I lost my
video. We lost his beach background, sadly.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
So I love that, the first sort of tender moment that we get with Yul Brynner is when he's talking about wanting to live in Buckingham Palace, which is so funny. But then it's like this real thing of, someone having this dream that, I think it could be a representation of someone having this ridiculous dream that sounds crazy to you and doesn't make sense to anyone else, and everyone laughing in your face. And the fact that Junior kind of like, I thought it was so sweet that he like uncrumples the paper and gives it to him. And he's like, anything that you want to do, you really can achieve it. And I feel like that's kind of like the message that a lot of us kind of grew up with. And we kind of learned the hard way. It's not always that, it doesn't always turn out that way, but I think it's just like a really, sweet kind of message for, kids who are watching this as like a PG film, and then turning it on its side of like Yul Brynner being on the other end of helping out Junior and like giving him
Wait, hold on, Laura. You gotta stop for a second because I gotta give you applause because the Buckingham Palace, like that, I was hoping that you'd bring that one up because I definitely meant to. Yeah.
But which again, I think is as famous or memorable as Sanka's line of like, are you dead yet?
Yeah.
But, the entire scene of Yul Brynner talking to Junior and making him look at himself in the mirror, I think is such a powerful scene and is so beautiful, so original, so tender, and just like something that I think everyone watching this movie can take with them tomorrow when they wake up tomorrow and look in the mirror and try and figure out if they're going to have a good day or not. I just think it's so beautiful. And then I'm combining this into 3 scenes. They're all very connected, but then leading us to Junior having that important moment with his dad, and the fact that they include the mirror in the elevator and him stop it. And he's like, okay, I'm in position. I've practiced this. I can do it, is just so beautiful. And I think so relatable to anyone watching this, no matter what age you are. Just really powerful storytelling and really beautiful execution, I think, from both of those actors. I like really believed their friendship, and I just got weepy-eyed in all 3 of those sections.
One of my favorite lines was kind of nestled in that, and it's when Junior says,
"You go get your palace."
It's just, and as soon as like that scene happened, Jimmy's like, that's you. But it's like what you said, Laura, like we watched so many movies and experienced so many stories that had messages like this in them that I like really have not completely like let go that can be true.
Yeah, and I also think that in the elevator scene, it's so, I don't know, like it's this moment, even with the actors playing his dad, like he looks so like shocked that he was able to pull this out. And I love like once the elevator doors close and you just have this sweet moment with the 2 of them, and he's like, you're a badass for doing that. And it feels so defeated. It's like the hardest thing he's ever needed to do. And I think Junior's acting is great for someone who did not go in as actor. Like he acts so much with his face. His facial expressions are like pure joy to immediate fear and disappointment and sadness whenever like his dad is brought into the mix. So
It almost works really well that he's not a trained actor because he's probably, even if none of us are as wealthy as their family is, but maybe the most relatable of the characters, because I think all of us have kind of had those moments where our parents want us to do one thing and we want to do something else and we don't know how to stand up to them. I feel like most kids have been through some version of his story.
yeah. Oh, I love Junior's character. I love when he's talking to his dog in the beginning. There's so many sweet moments with him.
I have a couple favorite quotes other than the like "Go get your palace." I mean, we already talked about like Sanka and the ice, but I specifically like when he says,
I'm gonna take a hot bath. I'm getting cold just thinking about all this ice.
and I forget who says this, but somebody says,
So, let's talk about this Bill sled team. No, bobsled team. Whoever.
Yeah, I feel like I have a ton of lines, but some of the just Sanka lines when Irv starts going off about like, oh yeah, that's where you come from. This is where I come from. And then Sanka goes, that's a hell of a place to be coming from.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy already mentioned it, but I say we make Therese the driver. I like when Yul Brynner says, I can't remember which team. I don't think it's the guy on the Swiss team, but he's like the best captain or front runner of another team, and he's just being really rude. And they're like, who is that? John Candy's explaining that he's like the best in the world. And Yul Brynner says, he's one of the biggest assholes in the world too. Yeah, I love the entire ice sequence, and I love that he just starts going off about things that are related to ice. Like,
You mean winters in igloos and Eskimos and penguins and ice?
I also really love this very quick, we don't get too much time with like Therese and his wife, but in the beginning, before he's going to run the race to get into the Olympics, he says like, are you nervous? And he goes on this whole rant, and then she goes, are you nervous? And he says like, I'm terrified.
oh,
Which I thought was sweet. And last one, I love that when Sanka says, when they go to watch their running race, and his wife is asking like, oh, do you think we should be nervous about anyone? And Sanka says, no, but I'm nervous about that big baldy. Let's talk about some food moments in the movie. There's
a decent amount. No?
Really some. I think there's more drink moments, like Red Stripe should just be the sponsor. It really made me want to have a Red Stripe. What about you guys?
Okay, I have Crazy Larry's Ice Pops in the scene where they kind of put Sanka in the inside of the truck to practice being cold, and they're all eating them. Laura's favorite, Coke in bottles.
Best.
Big presence in this movie. Kissing the egg, and I had a question. Is this egg a real egg? And if so, is it the same egg, or is this like a wooden egg? Like I couldn't quite tell what the deal was with the egg.
They used a rubber egg in the movie.
Okay.
But I think it's actually supposed to be a real egg. Because the point is that it doesn't break.
Which is the least believable part of the entire movie.
Yeah, no way that thing's not breaking.
Also, like knowing Sanka, like he seems a little like, just like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have just dropped it walking down the street.
When he's dancing at the bar. At Ranchman's. Doing his two-stepping.
Is it Sanka's mom or Therese's mom's banana dish?
It is Sanka's mom that he's making, like, on a hot plate.
Oh, right. Okay. So I want to know what is the recipe for the banana dish?
It looks lovely.
It looks great.
That's the first Yul and Sanka fight, right? Like Yul says it smells terrible.
Yeah. And I just love that he committed to making it like on a hot plate in the room. It felt right. Like we see Junior's parents dining on their beautiful terrace, and I just saw freshly squeezed juice. So
yeah, I got that. I mean, obviously breakfast, right? Because he's got the newspaper and
It reminded me of the room service that the three of us got in Disney last time with the
Yes.
OJ and waffles. I think I just wanted to like be at the bar, which I think was Sanka's mom's bar. I forget what it's called, but they just seemed like they were having a great time there and had some good beverages.
I don't know what I wanted from that bar, but it didn't feel, I don't know, it didn't feel very Jamaica to me.
I saw in
If
the
that-
background they had a lot of like goat, what would be traditional Jamaican
Okay.
meals. I more wanted to go and hang out with them, especially like kind of like their watch party. Seems like
Their
such a
watch
great
party was
time.
So much fun. Speaking of, I think that we should have our dinner party there this week. What do you think?
Yeah. And I think, is it called the Sandy Bay Club? I had that written down, but I don't know.
I kept trying to I kept forgetting to pause it. We'll have to do a fact check on what it's called. Maybe what did we do last week? I kind of like the idea of like, what is everyone's watch party order, like as a drink at the bar this week?
Okay. I like this.
So Michelle, I'll give you someone, you give Jimmy someone, and Jimmy will give me someone.
Okay.
Michelle, I'm gonna give you Kurt, because he's very serious.
Okay.
Done too much. We didn't really even bring him up because this was
This
just
is Irv's ex teammate.
his
Oh,
ex.
ex coach. Okay. Right. Okay. The jerky
Also, we
one.
didn't really talk about John Candy's monologue when he goes into the boardroom, but fabulous. Really good.
All right, Jimmy, I'm going to give you Doris's wife or girlfriend or partner.
Oh, I have to give Laura somebody? I'll give you Yul Brenner.
Okay, so Yul Brenner, Kurt, and Doris's wife are sitting side by side up at the bar, and they're each ordering something.
Yes.
Okay.
I honestly think that Yul Brenner just like could drink, you know what? This is great. You know, like the beer towers that people get at bars, like the ones with this, like a beer tower with like a spout that is supposed
I
to
have
be.
no idea what a beer tower is.
Yeah.
Jimmy, do you?
You know what I'm talking about. It literally comes as almost like a pitcher, but it's like has a spout on it. You guys really don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, this is crazy. I need to show this.
I mean, it's
literally just like
they have these at bars.
Is it like a pitcher with ice in the middle?
It's literally just
Laura,
like
I'm on Wayfair.
I'm
sponsored by Wayfair moment.
I'm on bar products, whatever that is.
Like this?
Yep.
It looks like this?
Yeah, it just almost looks like a bong, but it's a tower of beer with a spout.
Okay, so it's almost like it's a step above. Instead of getting a pitcher, you would get this. It's more to keep it cold.
It's almost like when you go to a party and there's like the mixed cocktail dispenser of like with the little spout at someone's house party, but with beer, and it's like a cylinder.
Okay.
If they offer you beer at a bar and you can get like a 12 ounce, a 16 ounce, a 19 ounce, a 24 ounce, I'm always getting the 12 ounce because I want my beer to actually be cold.
Yeah, see, I need to get like the smallest beer possible because I drink beer so slowly that it will get warm immediately if I don't get the small option.
Yeah,
like I actually want like a water cup of beer. It's
Agreed.
perfect when I go to like Europe and they give you like the little ones. I'm like, this is up my alley. But anyway, I think that Yul Brenner is gonna get the beer tower because he's gonna be watching Olympic sports all night long. But also I think that he can like drink like a fish, and he gets a couple of extra cups. Once he has a couple of drinks, he'll end up sharing with Kurt and Doris's wife, but it's mostly just for him.
Okay.
And I think he's getting like Red Stripe.
Okay, so Red Stripe is in the dispenser.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, on tap.
On
They
tap.
have Red Stripe on tap, which I feel like they probably don't even have. I think Red Stripe is like exclusively a bottle, but we're gonna pretend. All right, Michelle.
I think that Kurt is a Grey Goose on the rocks man, and he thinks that he gets, similarly to what you were just saying, single pours. so that it's always very cold. Like he has no patience for it getting to room temperature. So especially in Jamaica, he almost wants like the smallest glass possible. And the bartender's like, "Oh, you want a shot?" He's like, "No, I want it. I want it on the rocks." And I think that he has no garnish. I think it's just a clear glass with clear liquid with clear ice cubes because he's a very gray man.
That feels right.
And I don't think he's sharing. I think throughout the course of this, he has like 6 of them.
I don't even think he loosens up. I think
No.
he like keeps to himself.
I think that Yul Brynner tries to offer him some from his dispenser. He's just like does not even want to acknowledge that he's there.
All right, Jimmy, what is Teresa's wife ordering?
A daiquiri, maybe with a rum floater.
Oh,
Yeah,
that sounds so
probably an umbrella.
perfect.
I was thinking initially. I was thinking like a margarita with the. I don't know what these things are called, but like the margarita with like the.
With like the beer bottle stuck in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think daiquiri. I think daiquiri with umbrella and rum topper
I want that.
feels more like.
It's June. We're allowed to have those.
I had a very good, not like a frozen daiquiri, like one you would have at a pool, but like a real daiquiri last week. And I haven't stopped thinking about it. It was delicious. I think that rum drinks might be my new thing.
I definitely want to hang out with Teresa's wife and then Yul Brynner after he's had like 8 drinks.
Yeah, she needs the rum topper, and not just because like we're in Jamaica and rum, but also because, and I could see like a world where Sanka, instead of saying ice, is saying rum, like rum. But she needs the rum topper because she's nervous.
Yeah. I actually had a memory of Dom and I going to a tiki bar. It was in like Paso Robles, which is like a wine area, but there was this tiki bar there in the town that we were staying in. And I think I had already had a drink or 2. And we were ordering drinks and she was like, "Do you want the rum floater?" And I was like, "Yes, of course I want the rum floater."
How did it work out?
Dom was like, "What did you do? You don't need it, and you're not going to finish it." And it was fine. It wasn't needed though. It definitely wasn't needed. Okay, Jimmy, are you ready to be in the hot seat for this or that segment?
Oh, I don't think I know this one.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, this is a new edition.
New edition from Die Hard.
Okay.
Okay, so Michelle and I are just going to ask you a couple of quick questions. Don't think too much on it. We'll go back and forth.
Perfect.
Now, are my only answers this or that?
No.
You'll get it. Don't worry. If you're good at trivia, you'll pick up on this one. This is for like people of my level, you know. Okay. So to raise money for the Olympic trials, would you rather have to do the kissing booth, the arm wrestle, or sing in the street?
I think the arm wrestle, but you have to win to get the money. Is that the way that works?
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't want to kiss the grandmother. I think the arm wrestle.
Yeah, Michelle would be as angry as Teresa's wife about the kissing booth. So we'll see. I was surprised. You're a singer, so you actually.
Yeah, why wouldn't you sing in the streets?
Yeah.
I don't know. Singing in the street's a little beneath me.
Yeah.
Okay. Stage only for you.
Stage only singer.
All right. We kind of discussed this a little bit, but would you rather compete as a bobsledder in the Winter Olympics or a sprinter in the Summer Olympics?
Definitely bobsledder in the Winter Olympics. I was thinking about that even further. I know one word answers, whatever, but Winter Olympics, way greater than Summer Olympics.
I love it.
I think overall I would agree with that.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, we could only keep one. I think it's winter.
I agree. I feel like the stakes are higher. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, even with both your answers when you're talking about like gymnastics and figure skating, like figure skating is way better than gymnastics. Anything with ice and snow and hills. Yeah. Sign me up.
True Olympians. Okay. Put yourself in Junior's shoes. Would you rather get in a bar fight at Ranchman's or get caught by your dad that you never showed up at your job at Webster and Cohen?
Are there repercussions from the bar fight? Because I think if there's no like ending up in jail, I think I'm choosing the bar fight.
Yeah,
But if I'm ending up in jail, then I guess I'll disappoint my father. Because I'll end up disappointing my father if I end up in jail anyway. So,
just so you know, listeners, Jimmy is turning 45 in a week. And he is still on the same page about fearing of disappointing fathers. So it keeps going. No, there's no repercussions. So
I'm choosing the bar fight.
All right. Would you rather be the one who trips the other runners or the one who gets tripped, preventing you from going to the Olympics?
Oh, this is easy. Definitely the one who gets tripped for two reasons. One, you can always tell everyone that you would have made it if you didn't get tripped.
Yes,
and two, I hate to think that I let somebody down by tripping them.
Now put yourself in Sanka's shoes. Would you rather have to go in the ice pop freezer to prepare for the winters in Calgary? Or would you rather crash into, I think it's like a snack shack or some type of bar area when he's doing derby racing? And keep in mind you're putting like an 8-year-old boy's life at risk when you crash. So
oh, well, that changes things a little bit. But I think crashing into the snack shack, I mean, because then you get up and like maybe like grab a pack of Skittles or Sour Patch Kids or something.
Yes.
Walk it off.
Would you rather work at Sanka's mom's restaurant or at Webster and Cohen?
I think
Webster
and Cohen. I might have to talk to less people than at Sanka's mom's restaurant. You know, Laura, going back to your question, I think actually I want to crash into the snack shack and then go get locked in the ice truck to like temper down the bruising.
Very strategic. My last question. Pick your Olympic sponsor for your outfit. Your favorite part of the movie is the Jamaican bobsled team's outfit. So would you rather have Adidas or Champion as your sponsor?
I feel like Adidas fits the cross and the design a little bit better than Champion. I know Champion's making a comeback, right? That's crazy to me.
Would you rather have the Germans laugh at you for falling on the ice or have them kick your butt in a bar fight?
I think laugh at me for falling on the ice.
Well, Jimmy, start thinking about the next episode you'll be joining us on because we have to keep this momentum going. So next week, I don't know what we're going to be covering. But
we have many.
We have a lot of sports movies in our arsenal. Michelle and I will get back to you, listeners, but make sure you tune in for our next release.
Yep, stay subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one.